him something because two guys now say.
Okay, so let me go to this quick. Can we all see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Let me quickly go to
Blank.
this.
The screen is blank.
Yeah, it should come up now. I'm sure you can all see it now, right? Okay, so this is a typical Jira board. And this board is used for project planning. One of the things we do with the Jira board is to monitor and organize our projects. A lot of other things you can do with the Jira board. So I'm going to just be so general because I know I've taught Jira class before, but I know some of us are not there, but please just follow me. It's not something hard. And also note that I can't teach you everything in Jira. You may need to do some research or get your hands on it yourself. For instance, if you have access to the software or the application, why don't you just go through it one after the other? When you do that, you get more familiar with it. So now all of you have a what they call user story. So your user story, after you've had your meeting and decided to plan and document some of these things, you want to go to start your project. There are a lot of things you do before you get to Jira. I'm not going to emphasize on them, but I'll just briefly mention.
Hello, David. Sorry, one second. David, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, sorry to cut you short, although I'm in another session. I just noticed something today in two groups regarding their user stories or ticket or task rather. I noticed they are using the story as the title of the ticket. Like as a user, I want to do this, I want to do that as a title of the ticket, which is wrong. I noticed that with two groups today.
Okay. Thank you for that observation.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to actually talk about that also. Yes, I saw your comment, and when I saw it, I thought, yes, it's something noteworthy of mentioning here. So I'm going to take us through what an epic is and what a story is and what tasks are, so that we can understand. I observe that when I come to most of your meetings, what Aki has observed is what I've observed across board, and I've tried to correct them as many times as I can to let you understand that your story, your epic, and your task are three different things. If you don't organize it well, you might create a problem for someone that wants to learn from your project. Maybe in future, somebody just goes into the project archives and pull up maybe the work you've done before, and it becomes extremely difficult for that person to understand what you are doing, just because you made some text errors and you made it a little bit. I mean, you did the wrong choice of texting because you don't fully understand what an epic is, what a story is, and what tasks are. So we are going to do that also, in this project. In this brief meeting. So, like I've said, when you want to start your project, you had your meeting and you've already agreed and signed off on the user story, and the PO, the product owner, has an assurance that the Scrum team understands what they want to develop. If the Scrum team doesn't understand what they want to develop, there's going to be a problem. So there are ways where a product owner can understand if a Scrum team understand what they want to do. A simple way is during the sprint planning meeting or the planning poker, the story estimation. When he sees that there's no consistency, he would assume that these people don't understand what they are doing or what they want to develop. So he can go back and probably refine the user stories and come back to them and ensure that they all understand what they want to do. So that's besides the point. You start your journey on Jira with creating what we call epics on the roadmap. Meanwhile, you can also create the same epic on your, from your backlog, but for best practice sake, you start with the roadmap. That is why it's even the first thing on the planning drop-down column. So this is my roadmap section. You can see that there's a status category here, which has to do in progress and done. Also, you can add people with this icon. And I want to see if I've done something on this before. I want an empty project. I think I've worked on this before, but I'm sure you guys will understand what I'm doing. So you need to, before you start, you need to check that everything is in place. There is a particular team that told me that they don't have a particular configuration. For instance, that they can't estimate stories. The reason why you cannot estimate stories is because you did not configure your settings to allow you estimate stories. So it is very important that you look at this left side and look at what you have there. I have release, I have code, I have issues, I have reports, I have board. Then I think board, backlog, and roadmap are default settings. But you may not have reports in your own, you may not have issues, you may not have releases and other things. So if you want to check what you should have, or want to invite whatever feature you want to put, the way to do it is to go to the project settings. You click on the project settings. Please feel free to take me back in case you don't understand anything. And on the project setting, you click on features. So this will allow you to see. Now you have checked roadmap. These are more like default settings. The board also is there. I can't even touch this because board has to be there, it's default. Now I checked my reports. If you don't have it in your own, quickly check it now. You can quickly go and activate it. Now these operations does not concern us because this is for DevOps engineers. This is for DevOps, but we are not doing DevOps here. But in case you are in a team that is doing DevOps and you are the Scrum Master, you can allow this. So let me just leave everything there. So I've opened every feature that I need so that I don't start struggling during my project and start looking for where I want to put one or two things. Okay. So if I'm done with that, I can go back to my project and start from my roadmap. So on my roadmap, he has already told me what needs to be done. When you see this purple icon, it's called epic. Now, an epic is an ambiguous story that has not been defined properly. So understand what an epic is. What the customer would give you in their user stories are usually classified as epics. For instance, most of you that have as a customer or as a client, I want to develop a website in your project. That's an epic. So I can put it there as an epic. I want to develop a website and create. Let me leave this to just one epic. I don't want to go too far. Now, from this epic, you can further break it down into stories, tasks, and bugs by using this small plus icon just on this roadmap also. So when I click on this, you can see that it has changed to a story now with this green tag. Now, the process of your breaking down your epic will It will be broken down into stories, then from stories into tasks, then from task into subtask. That is how it's, that's the order of arrangement. When you do these kind of things, it makes your work more structured. No, sorry. Okay. So now, developing a website, after I've sat down with my developers, they told me that I need, sorry, I'm not going to write that. They told me I need to create, I'm not really into web development, but just for the sake of this meeting, let's say I need to build HTML, because I know they use HTML for web, HTML server. Let's say this is what I need to build. This is an action. It is not a story. This is more, sorry, it is more simpler than what you have here in your Epic. I want to develop a website. Now, I've said build HTML server. Something is wrong with my mouse. Sorry, let me quickly create that. Okay, so I've created that. It's in my to-do. If I want to further break down this story into tasks, I can now go here, I click on it. So when you click on it, it brings you to this place. Then you can now populate by clicking on add child issue. You can try your hands to see. You can say, oh, let's see what is there. You can see how to manage and create automation from here. But that's not what we are doing now. So you can click on these little branches that says add child issue, and your child issues are going to be tasks. Now, in building HTML server, what do I need to do? Code, okay. Right. Please, I said for the purpose of this training, so don't try to start making sense of what I'm trying to write there. They really don't matter. Okay, write HTML code. Now, once I do that, I can create a version for it. You can see that I already have a story point here, and it is nothing has been put there. I'm saying this because the former the team I was with yesterday, they don't have a column for story points. So this is where you find your story points and every other thing that you can put there. You can create a fixed version for this. I can say the fixed version is going to be attached to your release. That means we are releasing this particular task or this particular activity in a sprint. What version do you want to call it? I can say, let me say, the title of my project is LWP, release 1. It's saying no match found, so I have to create a new one because you might have created a lot of versions before. So I'm going to put that there. Start date, I'll use today. Now release date. Which date do I plan to release it? You know, I said, let us assume that we planned our meetings. We've estimated our storage. Let's say we are releasing this in the next 6 days. So now it is very good for you to put the description there. This is your description is what will help you with your definition of done. I don't know if I've said that in any of our meetings before. That's your definition of done is what gives you the functionality and quality of your work. When your work has met the functional requirements and quality, then you can say it's complete. So now, for me to release this, what is this description? HTML creates access to landing page. So what I'm saying is the code I've written creates access to landing page. So that is the criteria that I've set for this. If it doesn't meet this, sorry, my mouse keeps misbehaving. Where did I go? HTML. It directs to landing page. Let me save that. Oh, I didn't set my dates. I had an issue. I didn't set my date. I have to quickly go and adjust that. You see, I told you that the starting date is not set. So let me set my start date and my release date. Okay. So you already told me that I have 5 days left. I'll go back to my roadmap. I hope you're following. Someone has chatted again. Let me check those there. Can a single project have more than one epic? Okay, good question. Definitely. And I will show you that even in your own projects, you guys have a lot of epics there. Epics are the features or user story directly by their requirement that your customer or your user, whichever way it is, are specified for you to develop. Is there an icon for team? I don't understand that question. Maybe you can explain further. But let me continue. I'll be taking the questions as they come. Okay.
David, maybe
Let me move away from here.
my question.
Once you,
the theme.
someone's saying something.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Okay. When you break down Epic into a subtask like the user story, if it's clear, but I understand also that if the user story or what's supposed to be user story before that epic, sometimes there could be a layer before the epic. So it's like from a theme to an epic, then to a user story. But I could not find any icon or something to represent if there was a theme in a project on Jira. So I'm asking, is there one, or we just have to ignore it and ensure that we deal with only epics? And then secondly, with respect to the timelines you just explained, the sprint time, is it dates that were to pick, not the number of days as it were? Like you need to, what you did just now was to pick a particular date, start date and release date. Is that it?
Okay, that's release, I've not started a sprint.
Okay.
I'm going to go back there now.
Okay.
That's just release. Let me go back there and put once I want to create a sprint, it's going to ask me for the number of weeks, and automatically I'll put that there. What I just put is to fix the version of my release. So as I've created this particular issue right now, hold on. Okay, so if I want to start this sprint, it will ask me a timeline for it. But I can also do that from here. So for instance, this particular epic can go and assign, because mind you, you already have the knowledge of what you want to do. So once you click on your epic, you can take a start date from here. Let's say it starts same day. and ends the same day I put for my release. So once we close that, automatically, you can see that it has given you an extension here, like a Gantt chart kind of view. What I'm trying to make us understand here is, for you to create a work that is structured, you need to follow a process of developing an epic, breaking it down to stories, and also to tasks. If I want to add further subtasks to this, I can also do that. I can add a subtask to this. Maybe I want to put a bulb. A lot of things can be done. I can assign a particular person to this, can estimate the story. I can estimate the story points starting from one. Let me say the story point is, let's say, let me do 10. I'm just estimating the story point to be 10. Original estimate is talking about the time. This has been agreed in your planning poker meeting. We say, you can see it's in 2 weeks, days, hours, and minutes. Let's say 4 days. Okay, sorry, I have to do 0, 4. That's what I would do. 0, 4. No, it's giving me 4 minutes now. Let's do this. Still doing minutes. Okay, I think I need to go and set it for me to configure it very well, but let me just ignore that. I need to configure this in the settings to be able to make it a default of maybe weeks, make it a default of days and minutes. That's what this original estimate is. But we'll get to that shortly. All right, so we are good to go from here. We have an epic, we have a story. And if you want to further break this down to tasks, just like I said, we can break it down to tasks. How do you do that? You add child issue again. And let's say the task is oh, I think I've already done that before. Develop. Okay. Code. I put it in my listing HTML. So this is giving us subtask. Push date HTML has been given as a subtask. Okay. So once I've been able to do this, I can repeat the same thing for all my user story in the backlog, in my product backlog rather. I can do all this. So if you feel that what you have put in your user story is not correct, you can quickly adjust them. know what you want to develop, the complex task, let it be your epic, then your story will be broken down into the specific thing that needs to be done. And please know that this is a team effort. Ensure that you always have your testers and developers when you are doing all these things. Because most of the time, the developers and the designers, they know more about what you want to build rather than you. Someone is raising the hand, please you can talk.
Yes, it's me. It's Ufoma. Okay, since we are talking about I want to develop a website, that is actually the project for my team. And the question I have is, that is the project I want to develop a website, which is already an epic on its own. So my question is it the features of the website that becomes the stories? So for example, the client wants a landing page, she wants all the functionalities on a normal website. Are those my stories?
Yes, your stories
or they are
the
all
features.
different epics?
Okay, now this is where it's getting confusing. Okay, user story and stories in Jira are different things.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay, your user story is what the customer has told you. His story has narrated to you.
Yes.
When you come to Jira, Jira takes that your user story and puts it in the form of an epic. Then it now takes a story which is under Jira as form of a task, and it takes a subtask under it. Now, if I don't want to use this story now, I can turn it from being a story. I have to check this status, sorry. Hold on. Let me check this categories. Okay. So you can turn your epic into a story and leave it as it is and add subtask, or you can put it as task and add subtask, whichever one works. But you know, the purpose of this is to make it structured. You can keep working and using epics all through your project. It will end it. But then the purpose of a Scrum Master, which is to organize the project work, will be defeated because the project itself will not be explanatory to anyone that is not part of your team. That's why it has to be done in this certain way. I hope I answered your question.
No, you have not. So.
Okay, please. What else don't you understand?
So I said the epic is correct. I want to develop a website. Now, the client, I said, on that website, I want a landing page, I want an about page, I want a contact us icon, I want a career icon. Those icons, will I put them as stories under this one epic of I want to develop a website? Or I should pick each icon and put them as epics?
Exactly.
And now further break them down.
Yes, that's what you do. You cannot do all the features in one sprint. You have to specify the feature that you want to develop in a sprint. Do you understand?
No.
Okay, now let's come practical. Okay, the epic is I want to develop a website, right?
Yes, yes.
What is the feature? The first feature there.
For the website.
What is the first user story from this epic?
A landing page. A landing page.
I want to create a landing page, right?
Yes.
Okay. So create a landing page. You know, I said for the purpose of this, these lessons, you shouldn't mind what I'm putting there so that it doesn't confuse you. So now, if your project is website development, that is not what is going to be on your epic. I hope you know that.
You see, that's why I'm getting confused. So
Wait.
What will now be on my Epic?
My own project is LWP. That's my project. So you need to understand what your project is, the name of your project, or the purpose of your project. It is the features of this project that you bring into your Epic and stories.
Okay.
So for instance, if your project is website development, then in website development, what are the things that you need to do to get, what are the features rather that the website needs? You said landing page, you said login features. Those are your epics.
Okay.
Then when you pick one of them, let's say I'm picking landing page as a user wants to get, create a landing page.
Yeah.
You go and meet your developer. I don't understand what landing page is. I'm not saying you should say that too. But I mean, the developer will tell you that, oh, okay, I know what landing page is. That is the that's the first thing you see when you log into your browser and click enter. Now, a designer is the one that will design a UX and a UX UI person designs that landing page. The engineer codes it, and once they finish their work, it becomes his working software. So in this process I've just explained to you, where the designer and the software engineer collaborate together, is a sprint already.
Okay.
Are you missing anything now?
No, I think it's fine. I understand the flow now.
All right, so you see, that's how the flow goes. Okay. Now, for you to now, as a project manager, as a scrum master, for you to make sure that your work is properly scheduled and planned, you need to understand what needs to be on your epic and what needs to be on your story and what needs to be on your task. Okay, so let's move away from here. We've spent so much time, but do we understand how we got to this place?
Yeah, thank you.
Please, if anyone doesn't understand, quickly drop me back now before I move on. It's very simple. What you need to do is work with what you have documented. If you have not documented anything, it's going to be a problem for you. But once you have documented properly, by separating your stories, then what you just need to come and do here is to just start repeating these stories and putting the square pegs in square holes, as is being said. Okay, sorry. So once you leave, okay.
For this page, is it possible that the role one is given on Jira is what determines what you can do? Maybe you're an administrator or whatever, because I'm trying to navigate mine to
yes.
This is where you choose and add, these things you mentioned, the code, the releases, the
yes. If you are not an administrator, you won't be able to do that. In all the projects I joined, I couldn't do much. That's why I said I have to create my own. It's the administrator that has set it to be that way. Now, if you want to have access, ask the administrator to give you access. The administrator can do that in the settings. You just grant access to
do that now.
Whoever I want
myself as an administrator, and it seems like it accepted me as an administrator, but I'm trying to get back to this page because all I'm seeing is just my project page, but I'm trying to come to this setting. That's where I'm not.
Which project are you currently on? Sorry, which group, brother?
Team Assumption. The one you joined yesterday.
Assumption. Is it your group that has that Jira design, blue, everything blue?
Yes. That we're trying to add.
Oh,
that's the group.
Okay. I was wondering how you guys got to that place, honestly. I don't know.
Even team impediment still have the same issue.
Wow. It must be from are you sure you selected Scrum, team managed Scrum? Because from setting up from the beginning, if you don't select some particular features, you may not get all these things. Maybe it's company-based that you selected. I don't know. Yeah. But we can look into that later. Please, you can reach out to me if you cannot solve it, but I'm sure you should be able to navigate your way. Or if you can, reach out to me.
All right then.
Okay, so from this, we are done with roadmap. Now, this particular landing page, I've not assigned any time to it. I hope we all know how to do that so that I don't waste my time again. Do we know how to assign the time and date? One is talking.
Can you redo that one and let me see it, please?
All right, so you click on it. When you click on it, you get your response at the right end. He has told you to create a landing page is your task. Now you can add a description. it further simplifies what you want to do, and it makes the work easy. You can assign to someone. If, for instance, I'm the only one on this project, so I can assign it to myself. Let's assume. So that's my task, to create a landing page. I can do the fixed version, do the story estimate, whatever it is that we have agreed. That's why I said the document that has been agreed on during the planning meeting is what we translate into our Jira board. So if we have agreed that we estimated our story to be, let's say, 15 points, I can put it there. I'm going to talk about story estimates later. It's a little bit complex. Story estimate is complex. Please, maybe someone should remind me in case I don't talk about it. I'll just talk about it briefly. Okay, so I can assign the start and end time for this project. Doesn't have any sprints yet.
So just a quick one thing I want to ask, start assigning the start and the end. Which form does it reflect? Does it reflect into the story point he has estimated, or is reflecting to the sprint when it's going to be finishing?
I honestly didn't hear what you said. Please repeat.
You are standing the timeline. So if you are standing the timeline,
okay,
on what timeline are you basing that on? Is it on the sprint or the story, the estimated point that you are assigning it to?
Okay, so it's two things now. I first assigned a release date, then that's what you see here, the LWP release. That information can be gotten from my planning meeting. It's the day we plan to release. Now, I also assigned a sprint timeline, which is between 1 to 4 weeks. I've assigned my sprint, my estimated time for my sprint to be completed. I can do it manually from this place. If I feel I want to extend it, I just drag. So it increases at any point in time. But it's better for you to do it the proper way instead of dragging it up and down. So your question is, I don't know if I've answered the question anyways. Have I answered it?
He told me you can do it in two ways. I assign when the release date and the sprint date. So on the actual reality, which one do you assign it to on the estimated time?
Estimated time should be assigned to your sprint.
Okay.
But I'm saying that if you calculate your sprint during your planning meeting, that, oh, we are going to be done with creating this sprint on the 15th of April, you can put the release date. All these things will just guide you. So when you are losing track of time, you can know that, yes, something is wrong somewhere. We are not working according to our time schedule. That's the purpose. Because if you don't put the time, every day it keeps counting and telling you you have 14 days more, 13 days more to release. Now, the sprint also keeps telling you that you have X number of days to finish a particular feature. Do you understand now?
Yeah, I understand now, yeah.
Let's quickly move away from here and go to backlog.
Could you just quickly differentiate the release date and the story point and show where the story point is assigned? I can see the release date, which is what you're playing with right now, either with date or you drag. The release date and the story point and where you assign the story point.
All right, that's what I'm trying to do now. Okay, so assigning the release date is on fixed version. This is where you do that. Once you click on it, you can customize it and create. You can create.
Okay.
You can name it any way you like. For instance, let me go to this one and put a release date there. So if I want to release it the same time with the first one, I can click on it. If I want to create a new one, I have to just, please pardon my mouse, a little bit malfunctioning. Okay, I can do create new. And let's say I do WP. Release 1. I put my time. Let me start from where I stopped this one. I don't want you guys to be confused though. Hold on, let me cancel. Let me not confuse you with this release. So release is particularly a software thing. When are we releasing the software? So let's assume that this particular story, the story is a software, right? Or is a particular feature. Yes. When are you releasing feature to your user?
Okay.
That means you must have tested it and it's working. Then you can say, okay, we are releasing this on this day. That's what is here on the release date. Okay. So that can be estimated, just like I said, when everyone is on board, the developers, the testers, then the Scrum Master himself, and the product owner. Now, the person that is responsible for actually releasing any software to the user is the product owner. I hope we know.
Okay.
Yes, because the product owner is like the person that brought to the business. So it's still the one that will deliver it. If I'm the one that wants this particular feature, I did not meet the Scrum Master, I met the product owner, right? The BAs. So he's the one that I've given my story, and he's the one that will deliver it to me. But the way a Scrum team works is such that everybody's work is interwoven, and everybody comes into to support the other person's work. So that's how it is. So let me not confuse you with the release. The release is a planned date for releasing software. If you are seeing that you cannot get this release date, what you do is to either go back to your client and explain some reasons why you can't release. Probably there are bugs or the software did not work. Okay. So it's just a guide, the timeline guide. And I've shown you how to create it, right? These fixed versions that you use to create your releases. Yes. Now to create a time for the story point. What's it called now? The sprint. Sorry, to create a time for the sprint can be done in several ways. You can do it on your roadmap, you can do it on your backlog, you can even do it when your sprint has started. If you do not estimate any time, by the time you try
Hello, Tomayo. I think we lost you or lost him for a bit. Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you, Wale, but we can't hear him.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah. Oh,
Sorry,
welcome.
my network went off. I'm trying to reconnect back now on my screen.
Okay.
Please let me know where you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen now.
Okay. So this is on your Epic. When you click on it, the start date and due date, whatever, is already here. So you can click on it and adjust as you wish. So this has been set from April 2nd to April 23rd by extension. If I have another Epic, let's say I say this, I want payments. If I, let's for the sake of creating another time, let's say this is another Epic that we are creating. So once I create this, I can click on it and also set a timeline here. I scroll down. Sorry. Okay, so I scroll down and put a start date, 12, due date, 19th. However I want. And when you look at the board, it's going to be there. Now, I selected weeks so that it can give me a clearer view of the charts. If I select months, it's going to make it small. It will give me months. So you can see now. If I put quarterly, the same, it's going to shrink it further so that I can see it quarter by quarter. So but I put it month by month. So that's why I'm focused on April. I'm not sure there should be an issue with this one. Can I proceed now?
Yes, it's the story point that I also want you to elaborate on. What the difference are. I know it has something to do with Planet Poker timelines that we estimate.
Yes.
So
I said I was going to talk about story points now.
Okay.
Before I finish.
Okay.
But there's something I wanted to see how I can go to a backlog and start a sprint. Then we'll now start taking questions.
Okay.
But so far, anyone that is a Scrum Master here should be able to do all these simple things that I've done here. So let's go to the backlog. So automatically you see when you finish loading that all what I've created, all the issues are going to be in my backlog. Mind you, you can also create issues from your backlog too, but it's better we start from the roadmap for best practice sake. Okay, so when you want to start a sprint, very simple. You take your task or your story and drag to the sprint. Because I've already, let me put the second one there. Okay, so if I click on start sprint, you can see that it's telling me to include 2 issues in the sprint and estimate the number of weeks I want to use. And also it's giving me an Now, if you do not put a sprint goal, you will not be able to guide your user or whoever is reviewing your project on your acceptance criteria, definition of done, all those things. So my sprint goal here, it must be very specific. If my sprint goal is not met, the Scrum Master may not release this, may not even, take my sprint to done. That means it is not completed. So whatever you want to achieve, your goal, your aim is what you put in your sprint goal. Let me say working website. That's my goal for this sprint. Oh my God. Working. Okay, so I estimate 1 week. Automatically, it knows what 1 week is. That's why it's not allowing me to do anything here. So I can start. And just like that, I have my to-do issues. So from here, I'm sure we know how to navigate our way, to when you start the sprint, just move around, you drag. Then because I've done some settings on this, my what's it called? I've done some initial settings on my workflow. That's why as I'm moving it, you're seeing a lot of things showing. So from in progress, if I've started this sprint in progress, I monitor the day. Once it's finished, I take it to quality assurance. Once quality assurance signs off, and then I finish and it's done. Then I complete the sprint. You can see that the timer is giving me 5 days remaining. So all this information are very important. You can set, you can automate it, but I don't want us to be doing this automation because if you are automating a task, you are trying to say that the other people that are human are not required. It's better to do it manually so that you don't take away the human effort. Okay, so that's basically how you create an issue or start a sprint. Before I take questions, let me quickly talk about story points. Okay, so why story points? When you are a Scrum Master and you are managing a Scrum team, you want to know the rate at which your team can deliver a sprint. You don't want people to waste your time, and you don't want to waste, because the more time you spend on a project, the more resources you consume. I hope we all know that. So that's the reason for story point estimates. And the story point estimate is used to measure the velocity of your sprints. And when I mean velocity, the velocity is just your speed rate. That how long will it take my team to complete this task? Is it 1 week? Is it 2 weeks? Is it 6 months to complete this project? That's the velocity. Now, this velocity varies. Some people's velocity are different from other people's velocity, sprint by sprint. So as a Scrum Master, you need to understand, or let me say you want to understand the velocity of your team. So you use story point estimate as a measure yard for it. And there is a chart called the burn down chart. So in that chart, you can, Jira has a way of showing us this chart in reports. Let me see if I can quickly lay my hands on it. But you need to finish a sprint before you can have access to see all these burn chart reports. So you can see sprint burn charts. So if I want to see sprint burn charts, you see velocity reports, all of them are all here. it will tell me how my team is working. So now, the remaining work, all of them are here. Because I've not, we've not completed the sprint. That's why this cannot be populated yet. But once you complete your sprint, you can try it out and you see what it will give you. So on this estimated field, what we are doing is story point estimate. If you want time, you can put time. If you want issue count, you can do issue count. It's always going to give you the same burn down to show you the rate at which your work is going. So now look at it here. It's even giving you story point, and the measure of the story point is from 0 to 30. From 0 to 30, and it's giving you a measure with dates. Now, to further take you into what story points are, they are points that you can estimate. Some people usually they use from 0 to 30 as their story points. So your story point is what will predict. I'll give you an example now so that you can understand all these things I'm saying. Your story point will predict how long you want to use to complete a particular project. Let's assume that these are projects. Our first sprint, which is we want to develop a website. Let's say under that sprint, we have 10 tasks. I can put each task as 1 point. So task 1 is 1 point, then to 10, that's 10 points, right? If I want to, I hope you are all hearing me so that I'm not just speaking myself.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Can hear you.
So we are saying that if you have 10 tasks or activities under a story that we are developing, and I've picked the story to be, I want to develop a website. Maybe I'm doing A, B, C, D, up to 10 different tasks under it. I'll give that task 1 point. That's 10 points now. So if, for instance, I have 10 points and all my story in a particular project, when I now count all of them together, please listen carefully. I said in a particular project now. So if a particular story is giving me 10 points, how about the other stories? I can go and count them also. That what do I need to develop in this next sprint is also equal to 15 points. Maybe there are 15 activities there. That's 15 points. The other one, which I'm supposed to do in this to give me this particular feature, I counted the points there. I see that I'm doing like 20 things. That's 20 story points. So I can list them down like that. Now, let me go back. I don't want us to be confused. If all my story points to complete the project is, let's say, 300, that means I have 300 activities to complete that project. If it's 300, and my first sprint now, let's estimate my first sprint to be 10 story. That's 10 points. When you divide the number of stories in the entire project with the number of story in a sprint, when you divide, let's say 300 divided by 10, I have 30. That 30 will give me an estimate that, oh, this project will take me 30 sprints to be able to complete it. Now, the number I'm giving is totally unrealistic. Totally unrealistic rather, because you can't have 30 sprints in a project. It's not possible. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Let me take that again. Do we understand what I said?
Take it again.
Okay. I'm going to try and see. Let me see if I can type on my screen so that you can see.
Recording would have been more helpful and easier.
Yeah, yes. It's being recorded, but I want to type something out. Yes. Okay. Story points. So we have a project. And in this project, let me do this way. We are doing A, B, C. Let's say to this project, we need to complete story A, story B, story C. Now in story A, I have 5 activities or tasks for me to complete this story A. Let's say 5. So that's 5 points. Story B, I have 10 tasks to complete my story. Excuse me. That's 10 points. And this story C, I have let's say 5 tasks to do, or 5 activities, so 5 points. So the number of your activities is what you estimate as your points. Do we understand that first?
Yeah.
Hello?
Do you mean the points means the number of epics or something?
Okay, let's take it to story, because you don't develop, you don't work epics, you work stories and tasks. I don't know if you get my point. This is your epic. A is your epic.
Yes.
These points are the stories.
Okay.
Let's say this
stories.
A is
The user stories.
create a login page. I'm so sorry, my mouse and everything are messed up. Okay, so let's say that's A, create a login page. Now, for you to create a login page, you have said I am doing first of all, I'm creating a plugin, and second of all, I'm doing a default, I'm doing a code, and all the activities you have listed under it is 5 activities. So you estimate 5 points for it. So you assign a point per activity. That's why I said in this particular story we have 5 points for it. 5 points. The other one we have 10. Then the last one we have 5. We need to add all these points together. That will give us 20 points, right? This is the number of points of our story point estimate for us to achieve project LWP. Are we clear so far? Are we getting it?
Yes, we're getting it.
Yeah, I think it's getting clear.
You get it later. Do you understand? These things are a little, that's why I said it's a little bit complex what the story point does. But let me tell you, by the time you start, doing these things, you will understand all this explanation I'm giving you. You start putting them together and say, oh, this is what I was talking about when you start doing it in real time. Now, we have 20 story points altogether. If I want to know, I said the purpose of story points is for us to establish the number of sprints that will take us in a particular project. So now, as a Scrum Master, this project of LWP, you need to know how many weeks it will take you to finish the project. You need to know. When I say how many, let me not say weeks, no, let me say how many sprints, because sprints can be 4 weeks, it can be 2 weeks, it can be 3 weeks. How many sprints do I need to finish this project? Is your story point that you used to know. And these things, most of the time is something that probably you, when you measure your team velocity, you can say, okay, my team should be able to deliver this in 3 sprints, in 4 sprints, 5 sprints, in 1 sprint. How we are going to come up with the sprint is what I'm trying to explain to us now. So let us say the first story, which is A, the creating login page, which we allotted 5 points to. If we finish this if you finish this sprint, and we want to know how long it will take us to complete the other sprints, I said you take the total number of points that you have, you divide it by the estimated story points for that sprint that you have finished, and it will give you 4. 20 divided by 5, that's 4. So this can give you an insight that you need 4 sprints more to finish this entire project based on what you have achieved from the first from your first sprint. I know it's a little bit tricky. You may not be accurate. That's the thing. You may not be accurate, but that is why they call it estimate. You need to be able to estimate something. Now, you work towards that estimate to ensure that everything or every task that is done is being done at the right time. When you estimate your sprint to be 4 sprints, meanwhile, when you want to bill your clients, you bill them per sprint. You can say, okay, for me to finish 1 sprint, that's 1 month, because maximum is 4 weeks. So I can say, this is your project, you are paying me $1,000 per month, right? And I'm doing 4 sprints. So I know that that's $4,000 for the whole project. So those are the things that a story point estimate can give you insights into. It can make you determine how long you are going to work on the project for, and how many sprints you are developing, how many sprints you are going to be doing for a particular project, and even make it to cost, because you need to cost these things before. You don't start a project and just say, okay, you pay me as I go. No, nobody will take you serious. You need to be able to look at the story, plan, and estimate that, okay, this will take me maximum of 5 sprints or 4 sprints, and okay, I can see like in a sprint I spent 2 to 4 weeks. So estimate this thing together. This is going to take me, if it's 4 sprints, oh, that's taking me 4 months. If it's 5 sprints, oh, that's taking me 5 months. Then you bill accordingly. At least, do we have an idea of what I just explained?
Yes. I think one slightly question is, you said to determine the story point for an average is based on the first sprint that is completed, isn't it?
Yes.
So if
you have not completed a sprint,
you may
not know the velocity of your team.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you've not, and you said at the end you made mention of, that's what you can use to make an estimation of the price as well based on what you finished, the first sprint you finished. But what if you've not finished a sprint, and how are you gonna still calculate it? How are you gonna still calculate it?
Yeah, I get your question. Now, it is expected that if you're taking a job, you have some experience with it. You don't just walk out and take a job now and say, okay, yeah, I want to build a software, or I want to be a product manager for a software and 0 experience. You've never done it before. Nobody's going to hire you. You can start working from a team that has experience. That's why I said most of the things you do in Scrum is based on experience. Some Scrum masters, product owners, developers can look at the project and tell you how many weeks they will take to finish it without even going through all this stress that we're talking about. They can estimate the timeline for you. But for you to be a little bit more accurate, that is why I am taking you through this route. Once you finish doing 1 sprint, you have what they call your sprint retrospective meeting. In this meeting, you're going to present how long you have spent on the project. The Scrum, the Jira board will give you an estimate of how long you spent, or how much time rather you spent developing a particular feature. So once that is documented, you can take that and start running with it. That, okay, for me to do this type of task, it took me X amount of weeks. And so that is just an experience that you take with you forever. So someone that is going to handle a project and wants to estimate would, when he listens to the user story and they come together as a Scrum team, they can estimate quite easily what it's going to take. Now, they now put a plus or minus can say, okay, if it's 4 sprints now, plus or minus 1. So that means 5 to, they say, okay, at least 4, sorry, at most 5, at least 4. So that's how they go about and estimate, and they bill. Now, when you bill someone, usually they don't pay you everything. Maybe they pay you some part of it. So if you finish the project earlier, if you have not signed the contract, it depends on the kind of contract you sign. If you have signed a contract that, okay, you finished, I'm doing this project for you, and you're paying me X amount of money, that's a different thing. But if people are paying you per sprint, if you don't do up to 4 sprints, they pay you for the 3 sprints, and everyone goes home. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thanks.
Okay. So I know most of us have not finished a project, so I don't want to take us to where we need to finish the project because that would be me, doing all the work for you. You guys need to, on your own research, not even research, work together and see how you can progress from your work. So let me go to the board. I'm sure most of us are in this stage, right? Has anyone finished any sprint? Anything? As my bet, I'm sure all of us are in this stage, like the in progress. How many of us has left this stage of in progress? Some of us have not even started. They are just in the to do. Please, if you have done, if you are more than this stage, let me know now so that I can quickly come and look at your work and start scoring you.
So I mean, team impediment, we finished 1 sprint and we're on the 2nd sprint.
Wow.
So 1 sprint is complete. Yeah.
Please, team
impediment. Competence too. We are done. We have it done as well.
Please reach out to me. Let me quickly check your work. Once you have finished the sprint, I need to look at it.
Okay.
Reach out to me on Jira. Anyhow, please. Let me quickly look at your work. Okay, so this is where we are now. I want to take questions. Any impediments, any issue, any concern that you feel the program manager should assist with, or ask himself to come in and see to it. Please, you can say it now. Maybe you don't have cooperative team members. We need to talk to them, let us know now. Or any question relating to Jira or the project itself.
All right, I wanted to ask 1 question on back to point estimation for the velocity of the team. So as a product owner, reference to before the project start for a sprint, does all the user stories and epic need to be, I know the epics need to be created, but all the user stories and the tasks that need to be completed before we start the first sprint to estimate to have the estimation point?
Honestly, your question is not so clear. Just ask that question again.
So, the product owner build out the user stories and the epics like with the team before the sprint start, like with the product backlog.
Okay, product owner creates the user story. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So does all the user stories and tasks need to be created before a sprint start? Just based on the estimation, the point estimation, just based on that. Because I believe, I don't know if I'm right, I believe a sprint can start like as we have 1 epic where we say we're creating the landing page, and we have the other epics where when that sprint is finished, we can go on the next one. So maybe the next one is creating an account profile with an epic where we have the user stories attached to it, but it's not all completed. But the team want to move on since we have the landing page user stories completed. While the product owner have time to write more of the user story attached to the account profile.
Okay. Yes, your question is valid and you're correct. Once you have 1 user story, you can start a sprint. Now, the flexibility of your project team, it comes to play now. If you're working with someone that needs you to develop a a working product as soon as possible. Maybe they want to see if you can get, okay, let me put it this way. If I want to take, for instance, I want to build a phone mobile app, and I'm not even sure how to go about it. I can tell you, please, let's just try and see if this works. So if it works, then I can commit to doing more. If it doesn't work, I can end this project. So I might just tell you that, okay, what I just need is, I just need an app that can, take me to stores where I can buy clothes online. That might be what I want. And you can develop a single user's story, or let me say, you can take a single feature and work on it and complete. When you complete, you present it to your client, and the client says, oh, this is fantastic, it works fine, now you can continue doing other things. So that's the beauty of Agile, that's the beauty of Scrum and the rest. It allows you to be flexible. It's not like a waterfall project that once you don't get your planning together, you can't start. You can start with a single user story. You remember the values of Agile is to prioritize a working software over documentation. You need to understand that your goal is to create a working software. So once you do that, you are fulfilling your goals. Then from there, the product owner can be refining whatever story is in the backlog. Once you are ready, it brings it up and you guys develop again. So I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, you did answer the question, but one thing I wanted to find out, because you're creating the story point for the estimating, if the other stories is not being created, how you know, then you don't know the story, what point you have for each story on each epic. So it will be a little bit difficult for you to have the total number of story points divided by the sprint completed to get the actual how many sprints you're going to have. But I think you come back saying, because you have an experience with the developers, when you have in that meeting, the planning, you have a roughly you have a rough idea how many sprints is going to take you to complete that whole project.
Yes, that's correct. Okay, let's say we are developing a project, and I want to just start with one sprint. Like I said, most of the time, when you are doing that kind of work, you may not need to estimate your entire, because just like I said, I mentioned that the client said he wants to test. So he's not actually sure of what he wants to develop. So he's not committing his full resources. He just wants to test. So you can work based on what the customer wants. It's about delivering the requirement of the customer, right? So you can just say, okay, I have 5 stories. Sorry, I have 5 story points in this particular sprint, just this one sprint. And these 5 story points, I can estimate that in our planning meeting, the developers can tell you that it will take 2-3 weeks. Once you agree, you can build a customer based on that and say, okay, I'm doing just this sprint. It's taking me 1 month to do. It's taking me 3 weeks to do. Do you understand? Then you go ahead and build the client based on that. Now, if you want to continue to develop other stories and they are ready, you now work with the experience of the first one. The reports that you get from it, the story points and the experience, that you use it to, to conclude on what you want to do on the next sprint. I need to stop sharing my screen so that I can be seeing the people that are talking.
Okay, the last question I wanted to ask is
Peter has been talking since. Okay.
Yeah, the last question I want to ask is difference between the user stories and the tags, because it just based on my class, when I was having my tutorial with the instructor on the class, what we were taught when you started doing this thing, it was totally different for what I've been taught. So, and even Mr. I can just raise that. Is that an epic or a story point before you even start, when it just started? But that's what we've been taught, that's what we're doing it. So as a user's story was stated, why you want that and what's the reason why you want it, like the outcome, So that's what we've been creating. So as a user, I want to or to be able to log into the website, then why do you want to be able to log to view available jobs or to do this? So that's what we've been taught for the user stories. So on implementing onto the Jira, there was the same thing that we put to bring it onto Jira as a user stories. And then on acceptance criteria comes out a description where you got the more details, what to accept when it's completed. So where the tester can based on acceptance criteria, i.e. the description, to write the test tags. But now I've been taught something different as we just started reference to user stories and the tags. So is a user story the same as tags, or they're also different then?
Okay. I wanted to ask, what were you taught before, so that I don't,
So as the first lady,
what were you taught about?
So what we were taught is, so if I want to create, like, you want to create a website, the epic is the functionalities, i.e. the landing page, the home page, or the login, or the job search, or the special, the other specialist functions, you know what I mean? So that is the epic. So the epic are just some bullet, it wouldn't say bullet points, just the functionalities. Then on the user stories, like if on the landing page or homepage, like it would say, as a user, I want to be able to register or sign up to this website so that I can see the available jobs. Then upon that, you want the acceptance criteria. That way come to acceptance criteria. So you should be able to, as a login, as a user, I should be able to see this, or when it's done, I should be able to log in. I should be able to put my details in, it should accept it. You know, I mean, otherwise when you bring the acceptance criteria attached to the user stories. But as we have one user story and we're questioning, is that an epic or a user story? So now I'm confused. What is a user story and what is the epic? I know epic is functionalities, but
epic is not functionality. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's
what I want to know. Epic is functionality. Okay, let me explain what an epic is.
Okay.
Take, for example, Peter, you're a customer and you want to develop a product. So what you come to me with as a developer or as a software company, you come to me with your user stories. That is why they call it user. You are the user and your stories. What are the stories that you have brought to me? You have come to give me a complex idea that you want to bring, or you want to bring rather into existence. So that is a user story. So Peter wants to develop an app that can build robots. You know, that is a user story. Let's not be confused with epics, stories, and tasks, because that is particular to Jira. We are not using Jira. We are using another software, project management software. You may not hear things like epics, stories, and tasks there. Just like I said, I use ClickUps, and there's nothing like epics there. So this is particular to Jira. Jira customized that for their own sake. Let us focus on what a user story is. Sorry, no. A user story is. I've just told you a user story. User story is what a customer wants. Now, these user stories will now be broken down into further features. Who does that? The breaking down. The team, the product owner goes and refine it, because it cannot just, the product owner needs to understand how to interpret a user story and communicate it to his team so that they can start working on it. If you remember when I started, I said, when you are planning and you are doing planning poker, if the product owner discovers that everybody is not on the same page with their estimation, then he can quickly conclude that the Scrum team does not understand the product they want to build or develop. Very easy. So I hope I'm able to establish what the user story is to you before I now take you to epics, stories, and tasks. Have I been able to establish what the user story is?
Yeah.
Okay, now when you come to Jira, Jira will take your user story as epic. Because an epic is, is a bunch of ambiguous description of what you want to achieve. So for the purpose of documentation, an epic is needed. I hope you're getting me. User story is taken as epic when it comes to Jira. So it's just as saying your epic is your user story when it comes to Jira. Now, that story, from epic, what we have next is story and task and subtask. I wanted to share my screen before, but I can't find the document. The last class I took on Agile, it talks about how you can further break down an epic into a story and into a task. Now, the epic we are talking about here is Peter wanting to build an app that can produce robots. As a product owner, I can further take that big story because it's complex. A lot of things needs to be done. I can break it down into stories. I can say story one. Building a robot, I'm not a robotic person. I need X, Y, Z. So I make it a little bit more refined, such that when I tell a developer, the developer can now say, okay, I'm doing X, Y, and Z on this. But if the story is too complex, developers may not understand. Look, the people that are in the tech industry, they don't like wasting time on stories. They want action. So that's why a product owner needs to be able to simplify and clarify what the user has in mind and communicate it well to the developing team. Because those guys don't understand all they know is to code and develop things and do a bunch of tech stuffs. They don't want to start listening to how the story, those are boring to them. I hope you're getting me. So the product owner takes this epic, which is too complex and ambiguous, and breaks it down into stories. Now, stories are more easily relatable. You can understand the picture. The picture is getting clearer to you. Now, from stories, you go to tasks. Tasks are actionable. They're actionable. How do I put it now? They're actionable stuff that you must do to achieve a story. Take, for instance, I want to make, let's say the project is to make cake, right? If I want to break down how to make cake to you, I know you need eggs, right? I know you need flour. I know you need butter. So let's stay with those three things. Look at the bigger picture, cake, very complex. You don't know how it comes out, but eggs, flour, and butter is needed, right? This egg, flour, and butter are what I call my stories now that I want to use to achieve the epic, which is cake. Too complex. Those are the stories. Now, the task of doing egg and butter can now be break egg, mix flour. I don't know if this example is relatable. I don't know, but if it is, it will be fine because you need to understand that the task is what the developer must do to achieve a story. And that story is what must be achieved to give rise or give what's it called, solution to the epic, to the problem that we want to solve. Peter, do you understand?
Yes, I'm getting it, yeah.
All right, so you can also read more about this at your free time. You can just read more about epics, about user stories, and as you go along your project, you'll be able to understand that these user stories, as complex as they are, you need to be able to break it down. If you have developers in your team, most of them will even tell you that, okay, this particular thing, this is how I want to achieve it. This is what I must do to achieve it. So those are the things that are tasks. The tasks are actionable substances that you want to perform. Like write a code, that's a task. Write a C# code, write JavaScript. Those are tasks. Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand. So, so I just want to
okay.
add the task, the description.
Yeah.
That's our description. Okay. So if I give an example, like for a user story stating As a user, I want to know the different type of roles available to be able to apply for a specific job.
You want to know a role to be what?
As a user, I want to know the different type of roles available to be able to apply for a specific job role.
Okay.
So that's a user story. So on the description, one example is, so roles should include mental health, general nursing, and other things. So
that's a story, right?
That's a description.
Okay.
So, and the other description is states, like, I think that one is clear. It should provide an easy to navigate menu that allow the user to browse different roles and available.
Okay.
3, each job should have a dedicated page that provide information about the role. So these are specific as a task or the description, as you just said.
Okay, now what you're mentioning now are features there are features that you need, like there are pieces that you need to put together to be able to get that your story, which is to get a role for a job, right?
Yeah.
Now, those features are what I call stories. You know, we said epics are the ambiguous ones. So we can say epic is the one you said, what are the roles to get a job? Then now the stories are what you have just mentioned after, which is I can't remember exactly what you call them.
Yeah.
These are the features that is needed. Now, going to the task, how do you get these features? How do you get them out? You probably need to do some research, right?
On research on.
No, I want to know, what do you have on your, what else do you have? Is this a project for your team?
So this is a project that I'm just talking on. Yeah, it's a real project I'm talking on. Just for the description,
so
now I'm a little bit confused with the description and the task. Is the description the same as the text? That is all right. But what I'm reading to you say is a story. That means it's not a description.
Yes. Okay. You could say a story is a description. What I mean is, once is a feature, is like pieces that you want to put together to make up a great to achieve a particular solution. I'm trying to pick my words right now. You can say, okay, those are descriptions, those are features, those are stories. But you know, don't forget we are dealing with epics, stories, and tasks. Now, the tasks are what to do, actionable things, what to do to be able to fulfill those stories. And one of them, if I just speak it out of my head, if you want to do that, is to first probably do some research. So that's actionable thing to do. Or create anything that is action, create, do, design. Those are tasks, those are actions. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I'll leave it there. I'll not hold the whole class, but I'll send you the link. So when you come to our team, then
yes, I'll be able to see.
when you read the project, what you've done, and the user stories in the description with the epics, then we can talk.
Okay, so Peter, you are with which team?
Team impediment.
Impediment?
Yeah.
Okay, I have to know that. Impediment. All right. Just reach out to me. Let me check your work. Okay, any other question?
Thank you.
You're welcome, Peter. Ungoza is there. Any other question? Seems we don't have any other question. So I would like to review your work.
I do. Sorry, I wanted to go through. Sorry, hi, David. I joined the class late.
My good friend.
Yes, I wanted to just clarify. I know you've probably covered it, but earlier on, one of the tutors pointed out an error in one of our user stories and said it should not be called It should have a different title, basically. So I just want to clarify on that, because I've changed one of ours to say, you know, for example, valid URL search. And then the user
Valid
story
what?
should be URL. So basically what I'm saying is, when somebody goes on searches onto the search engine, we want them to be able to search on Google, Bing, various platforms, basically. Okay. That's the first thing that the user should be able to do. So that is there as a user story now, but I've changed the title to valid URL search. Is that correct? Because I think I'm struck. Yeah. Yeah, because he said an example of a title should be valid login. Okay. So basically what we have is saying, as a client, I want my users to be directed to the client's website when they enter the details of the website in any search engine. Okay. He says that's wrong. And his question is that the title of your ticket? And I said, well, it should say as a user, not a client. And he said, no, that's wrong. That shouldn't even be a title to a ticket story. Okay.
Yes.
Example of a title can be valid login. Then when you open the ticket, you can write the story inside. So for URL search, I've changed that to valid URL search.
Okay, that's fine.
So I just wanted clarity on that, because I think most of our user stories are basically, that's the description. I mean, that's the title, if that, title. And then we explain.
No, Aki was talking about your ticket, not your user story. Now, your tickets are the tasks that you have agreed to execute in a sprint. So during your sprint planning meeting, the Scrum Master and the developers agree that we are doing this task and put it as a ticket. Then they now bring it into a sprint. So those tickets cannot be stories where you say as a user, I want to do yada, yada, yada. No, it can't be. It has to be, that's why I said it has to be task, actionable. Just like I said, valid login ID or valid login. So you already know that what you are creating or developing is a login, not ambiguous story that, I mean, I don't even know how to say this now. Not ambiguous story that you just put out there and you say, oh, this is what we are developing. No, we can't develop we can't be developing, engineers can't be developing stories. They develop tasks, login, plugin, URL, create clickable, create anything that is actionable, create, do, design. Those are things that you should be having as your tickets.
Okay.
So I'm going to look at your project again, and I'll see exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I think I'm going to put it back to what it is, because this is referring to the ticket. So I'm assuming that the user story is right. But then again, I think it's something that we could discuss, because the description is the same as the user story.
Yeah.
So we should have a different definition at the top, a different summary.
You don't bring that to your task or to your sprint, rather. That stays in your backlog. That's what I can saw. Yeah. So that's why when you start your roadmap, if you don't create your roadmap and put your epics there, if you don't do it properly, to seem as if your epic is what you are executing as a task, rather than you breaking it down. So if you follow this class that I just did now, I started with the epic, which is the story, whatever you want to do, and I broke it down into tasks. Then when I went to my board, you can see that it is the task that you are seeing there. You're not seeing all those plenty stories. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how it's supposed to be. So I'm going to actually be reviewing our work this weekend. Unfortunately, time has gone, but I'll see what I can review before I sleep. And I'll also give my observations So I hope that, you know, the work has been going well. Let me tell you, you guys have all been doing well. The fact that you are in a team and you are putting efforts to do something, that is a lot. I can tell you for a fact that my first project that I was involved in, I had no experience. Although I wasn't a Scrum Master, I was just like a junior project manager. I had no experience. I was just learning on the job, and it's fun. So with the testimony of Samira, you can see that already most of you are qualified to work on a Scrum team. It's just about understanding it. Most of this development, you're not the ones doing it. Your own is just, master your Jira board, know how to navigate, know how to assign this task to people, know how to create epics, know what is epics and what is task. Once you know all these basic things, you are good to go, honestly. And I want you guys to try your hands on interviews. Try your hands on interviews. If you have any interview, you can reach out to me. I can guide you. We can review whatever it is together, so that I can prepare you well for the interview. It's part of what this program does, which was part of Samira's testimony also. So please, try your hands on a lot of jobs out there that requires project management or even Scrum. Don't say, no, I don't know how to do it. You can do it. You can do it. So that's just my piece of advice. Then if you have a team member that is slacking behind, that is not responsive, usually developers, they are always like that. Know that these are the things you face in real life. You might be able to, when you are handling a team, you are the coach of that team. So you need to have a lot of leadership skills and empathy to be able to carry everybody along. Although it will not be as bad as what you might be experiencing right now, because people are being paid for the job, so they tend to take it more seriously. But I'm telling you, some people can be coming late to your meeting. You need to set the ground rules. Just practice your hand. And I know some of you are managers already, so at your different, different spaces, try to bring those skills in and use it to make sure that you can deliver at the right time, and we will all be fine. Okay, so come to the end of the brief meeting, although it wasn't that brief. So once we have made more progress, we can still come back to this Jira and see how to move on. I don't want to be going ahead of the class, such that the work becomes so easy for most of us. The idea is it should be hard for us to do. If it's not hard, if it's so easy for you to do, that means maybe you're taking shortcuts. I expect impediments. That's why I'm always asking any issue. I expect issues. I expect us to be having issues at this stage. So if you have any issues, don't keep it escalating. Let me know, and let's see how we can resolve it together. So I don't know if Aki wants to say anything to the team, but I'm done right now. And thank you everyone for joining.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't join the session, though. I was on another call, another session. I'm sure everything has been clarified now. I just I checked few Jira boards, although I'm not there, but through my testing team, I was able to see. That was when I picked up on, using user story as your title for your ticket, for the title of your ticket, which I don't think is right. And I'm sure that has been addressed now. Nothing. I just hope everyone is learning what they're supposed to learn, and everything is going fine. And we are all making use of the support that we have. I know it's a learning call for everyone, and it's all part of the process. The conflict, working as part of a team, resolving conflict, all these things will become your story when you start applying for jobs. So let's just make A when the sun still shines. And I'm sure we all have testimonies to give at the end of the whole journey. That is it from me. I don't know whether anybody has got any question from me.
Yeah. The people who are supposed to help us with the CV, are we paying them again to do that?
Yes, you are paying them. It's not part of my promise to you. My promise to you is your practical training, your life project, excuse me, the mentorship, the support, interview prep, and the reference for the duration that you are with me. So I don't undo CVs. That'll be too much headache on my behalf, or my part rather. So that is why I partner with them. But they will give you discount anyway. If you are from me, they will give you discount. But no, that is not part of my, agreement with you. So yeah, well, you get a discount, but it's not a must for you to go with them as well if you don't want to. Just going by their records, people get jobs. So, any other question? No other question. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend and see you next week on your meetings. Good night.
Good night.